It is time now to have a look at the consonants. We're going to try to understand how they are produced. There are two main criteria that we have to take into account when describing the production of a consonant. Number one, the point of articulation, I mean, where in the mouth are the consonants produced? And number two, the manner of articulation. What happened with the air when it's coming from the lungs? Number one, point of articulation. Where in the mouth are the consonants produced and what organ intervene in their production? The place of articulation of a sound describes where in the mouth is this sound produced and what organs are involved in its production. Active articulators are the articulators that move, starting from the outside of the mouth and going towards the inside. First, we have the lips, then we have the tongue, then we have the uvula, and finally we have the glottis. Passive articulators are the articulators that are fixed. The first one that we have are the teeth. Then behind the teeth, we have the alveolar ridge. Then we have the hard palate. And that's it. Those are the passive articulators. In the International Phonetic Alphabet, we can see that the consonants are organized following the two criteria that we mentioned earlier. The point of articulation in the red section and the manner of articulation in the blue section. I'm going to cover first the point of articulation, the red section. As you can see, there are 7 different kinds of consonants: labial, labiodental, interdental, alveolar, palatal consonants, velar, and glottal consonant, 7 of them. And they are called like this because of the place where they are produced and the organs that intervene in their production. Now I'm going to explain briefly how the consonants are produced based on their place of articulation. First, we have to talk about the bilabial consonants. These ones are produced with both lips, the upper lip and the lower lip. For example, P, B, M. Labiodental consonants are produced when the upper teeth touches the lower lip. For example, interdental consonants are produced when the tongue positions itself in between the teeth. For example, alveolar consonants are produced when the front part of the tongue approaches the alveolar ridge. For example, T, D. Palatal consonants are produced when the middle part of the tongue touches or approaches the hard palate. For example, we have the sounds sh or y. Velar consonants are produced when the back part of the tongue touches the velum, or what is also called or known as the soft palate. For example, ga, ga. And finally, glottal consonants are produced in the glottis area. Number 2 is the manner of articulation. Now it's time to describe the consonant based on the manner of articulation. This is what happens to the air when coming from the lungs towards the oral or the nasal cavities. The consonants are organized in 2 groups according to their manner of articulation. We have the obstruents at the top, and then at the bottom we have the sonorants. The obstruents are divided into 3 groups. We have the stops or plosives, then we have the fricatives, and finally the affricates. The same thing happened with the sonorants. They are subdivided in 3 groups: the nasal, the liquid, and the glides. Don't worry, because you don't have to memorize all these names. And you don't have to memorize the chart itself. This is something that is going to become easier with practice and with time. For the moment, it's just a good idea to be familiar with the names of the consonant based on their manner of articulation. For me, it's easy to remember. Let's think about the plosive. Plosive. For example, the P is a plosive consonant. We use P in the name plosive. And what happened with the air? There is a full obstruction of the air and then is released with a sort of an explosion, plosive. Same thing with the fricatives. For the production of the fricatives, there is a partial obstruction of the air with a hissing sound. So fricatives, like for example, the F. So that is what you need to remember. Okay, for the sonoran consonants, they are produced with no obstruction of the air. And don't worry, because this is something that you will learn in little chunks, one by one, step by step. You just need to have a look at my videos and my tutorials where I'm going to be explaining in more detail and with a little bit more of practice how each one of these sounds is produced. So don't forget to check them. If you want to learn the production of each individual sound in more detail, you can always check my playlist dedicated to pronunciation, where you will find tutorials on vowels and consonants and how each one of those sounds is produced individually. If you're new to the channel, this is the time when you can subscribe. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can keep up to date with my latest videos.